You're not ready?
But I'm not ready, Rex.
Oh, well.
Oh well,
Did you not
this
see the title of the show? Do you not listen to Ozzy Osbourne?
I do listen to Ozzy Osbourne, but you forget this is the Crazy Duke show.
No. Well, it is a Crazy Duke show, and the Crazy Duke show has evolved into the Crazy Train.
The Crazy Duke Train show. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. We're evolving as we progress in our amateur abilities.
I hear you. I hear you. So, what? Let me. I put a little share out. Okay. I'm off my game tonight. You're just gonna have to lead, and I'm gonna have to follow here. I am just not hitting on all
Oh,
cylinders.
that's going to be dangerous because I'm in the same boat. So this is either going to be a short show, a really bad show, or a combination of something of those two things.
Well, you're short and I'm short, so that would be
It
about
would
right.
it would be just status quo for us. All right, so let me see here. I've got to I'm in my network app, and why does it not show my device here so I can optimize my network for this podcast? Hmm.
Well, we are live on Twitter. We are live on Facebook. And
Mm-hmm.
as far as YouTube, I don't know, but I'll take the two.
Yeah, we're probably live and all the above. I mean, I didn't have any issues when I hit the go button. Oh, well, we've got about 18, 20 people watching, so we're live somewhere. According to my control panel, we're live on X or Twitter. We're live on Bossier Watch Facebook and YouTube, Bossier Watch YouTube, and we're live on Louisiana Watch Facebook, which I push out to anyway, too, just for the heck of it.
Well, let's go ahead and go to the break and our little intro and get that out of the way. We're going to be talking about the port of all things. Um, the the McCormicks won at the Supreme Court. I mean,
Mm,
who knew?
yeah,
And
who knew that the police jury was going to be up to some shenanigans and get caught, get busted again?
and I see you put in the notes carbon tax question mark question mark. That I'm intrigued by that one for sure.
Yeah, we got this sent to us, and I'm not really up to snuff on it, so we're just going to kind of throw it out there and see where the discussion goes of whether we should tax carbon dioxide. I guess we're going to tax the trees.
Yeah, I presume so. And we've got some public information requests that got answered, did we not?
Oh, we did. And I forgot to put those in the topics and in the show notes. We did. And we're going to talk about some of that as well, dealing with what's that guy's name? Our favorite grocery store semi thinks he's Mafia Tony Soprano guy. Oh, Vince Maggio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was on a bunch of these videos that we're going to show from
Yeah.
the infamous sign gate.
Yes. I didn't. I failed to put that in the notes. I will add it to it while we're on the break. How about that?
Yeah, so nobody except for the city attorneys have seen these videos. It had plenty of time to calculate on them, but we've had them now for a little while and we've made some calculations. And I think y'all are going to be intrigued by them.
Yeah, so folks, let your friends know we're going to be making fun of Vince. Well, we're going to be reporting on some information about Vince again. He's a sitting city councilman. He's still a target.
Fair game.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit the countdown and intro button and all that sort of good stuff, folks. Y'all know the drill. This is your chance to grab you something to drink or top off your existing drink. You got about 2.5 minutes to pop some popcorn. Share this out. Tag your friends. If you're friends with Vince, let him know his name is coming up in the show and the police jury, the McCormicks, the port, and taxing trees. All right, here we go.
A lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, you know, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse.
Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and Bossier.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS.
We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks.
Through conscious, shocking action, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. SmarterGeek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And apparently we are back again.
Okay. All right. So there. Now, I am paying attention now.
Well, I am. We're certainly living up to our amateur status now. I am quickly trying to make sure that I can show the stuff about Vince to everybody. Let me get this shared out to the right way.
Yeah,
so,
it's going to kind of be a little bit of a struggle. But yeah, so we put a public information request in. Actually, we put in multiple public information requests. So if y'all remember back during the campaign, the city council campaigns, and you recall that there was the incident where Colonel Crockett collected a bunch of signs. We'll do that again, play the short that we'd created based off of what took place. And, you know, Colonel Crockett took the signs back to Maggio Grocery, and, you know, there was some things said and done there. And anyway, we had put in a public information request immediately, like the day after. And we even said that there's no way that we will get any of that during the campaign. There was no way possible. And there was this rigmarole about, well, they can't release it because it's currently under investigation. Well, we're going to show you tonight that to the officers that were on scene, it was concluded that day. In fact, they more or less said it, and with the witnesses and the whole 9 yards. So it begs the question, why was it that after the fact there was, you know, quote unquote, an investigation which prevented the release of all of the videos and prevented the release of the documents? Well, I mean, didn't want anything out there to be damaging to Vince, is what I can only assume.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of speculation on our part in full disclosure, but the evidence just suggests that they were, like you said, trying to delay or withhold that information because it arguably, look, would have Vince won that by 38 votes or something like that? It was arguably maybe could have swung the election. Who knows? Or maybe it would have swung more people towards Vince. You never know. I doubt it though.
Yeah, I don't think it would, especially with a lot of the assertions that he made that we're going to show here in just a little while that were obviously not true. Obviously not true. And even the officer didn't say that what he said wasn't true, but the officer through his actions and then, what he said, you'll see, will make the point. Shows that what Vince was saying was not true.
Oh, well, let's see, how do those politicians always put it? I mean, they never say, did he lie? They always come up with some other politically correct term, which I think is just stupid. So we're going to see, did he lie? Look, maybe we need to give him the benefit of the doubt, which would sound odd for me to say, but it's the heat of the moment. You know how it is with witnesses, being a first responder and a fireman and all that. And sometimes you're talking to people and trying to figure out what's going on. And even people that are right there in the heat of the moment, they've, sometimes get this tunnel vision or whatever you call it. And they don't always get things right. Maybe that was the case. Or maybe he was just flat out lying.
I don't know. Anyway, do we want to go there first, or do we want to go to, the Supreme Court ruling, or do we want to go to the police jury? I mean, I think invariably the Supreme Court ruling rolls us right into the police jury meeting, in which probably people will find that boring as snot. But
yeah, they very well may. So I mean, we can go straight into the Vince stuff. So let me make sure. Let's see. Is this the? Let me get to the first one, the 62 PD Viper. So that is going to be one of the audio files, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're trying to be unprepared here. All right, that's 1649. Okay. Let me get things set up for it'll take me just maybe 20 seconds. And we'll be able to show this. Now, we don't have any of this transcribed yet or anything like that. And so we're just going to listen to it and, see what it sounds like. All right, so let me switch screens here. All right, we don't have any guests, so we can take that out of there. All right, here we go. So again, we don't have any of this transcribed and our usual deal. So Duke, what timestamp do I need to go to in this first one?
Just let it play. It's short.
Okay, here we go.
Bossier City Police, what is your emergency?
At 401 Thompson, Sharon Maggio called. Can y'all please come to the store, immediately?
What's going on there?
There's an altercation. There's a gentleman out here that's Colonel Crockett or something. He's talking about, he's trying to instigate a fight with Mr. Maggio. And
wait a minute, I got to stop right there. I'm sorry. And there's only 25 seconds. Did she just say, and I think that was Sharon Maggio, did she just say instigate a fight?
That's what she said.
Now, folks, and I won't belabor this very long. We had Colonel Crockett on. We showed the audio, and transcription, all that. Who in here thinks he was trying to instigate a fight? All right, here we go.
Colonel Crockett or whatever his name is he's out there trying to get in a fisticuff with Vince. I mean, and look, I would come pay to watch that. I would. I'd buy a ticket.
It would be fun. There's no doubt. Hey, so interesting question. I assume when, they have fights or boxing matches or MMA or anything like that, how come the police don't come out there and arrest them for assault and battery? Is there some exception to the law for that? Does anybody know?
No, I don't know.
I mean, that's a crazy off the cuff question, but that just occurred to me. Anyway. All right, here we go. Let's finish with this.
And he's taking political signs out of the yard and bringing them to the store. It's a craziness. Can you just have someone come here and make it manly?
So was it an actual physical altercation?
No, it's a big argument in
It's not physical.
lot.
Okay. Okay, 911 said you said there was a fight going on.
No, it's an altercation. The man shouldn't be here.
Okay, we have officers en route.
Have trouble.
We have officers en route. Thank you.
It's a fight.
We have officers en route.
No,
Thank you.
It's an altercation. Well, no, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be.
He's
here.
taking signs from the building. Did she say from the building or from the store? You heard that.
She did say from the building. Yeah, she said that.
Which is not true. Again, maybe heat of the moment. Maybe we should give her the benefit of the doubt.
That's right. That's right. So it wasn't a fight. It wasn't an altercation, but he shouldn't have been there. I can agree with that.
Yeah, okay. So let me go to the next one. It'll take me just a second to get to it. So that's going to be in the videos. This should be interesting. And I'm looking for short BWC 401.
I guess I could have done a little better with all that, couldn't I?
Well, yeah, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. All right. Oh no. Short BWC 4. Oh no. Hold on. They're all.
This could be
okay.
problematic.
Bear with us, folks. Hold on. I've got to see. 05. Okay. 002. I'd see. The way they did this is crazy. 0029604. Oh man. All right, hold on. They're amateurs. Okay, here we go. I got it. All right, let me switch screens. Here we go.
331, March 31st.
All right, I'm not looking at the video, so the 035 mark is when the first officer, or when that officer gets on the scene and the first comments. I
said, no, sir. I know you're back.
That. How many signs?
Let me get over here.
Signs up
here. Where were the signs?
Hey, David.
All right, he'll be there in 5 seconds.
Man, what's going on today?
David Crockett came here, took my signs down.
Okay, so
he got 3 signs and brought them to me.
Okay, all right. So here, I'm going over. So you were here. Where were the signs at?
Oh, this is Jim Whitman, the city marshal. Talk to Jim.
Signs
I don't know. Hey, did he tell you where he took them down?
We don't put signs up until they say we can.
And
Hey, Jim.
Every person I asked, they told me to put a sign up.
Okay.
He went down City Hall today and talked to Mr. Lewis and them. How many signs?
All right, so let me pause it. So for full context, everybody, at this point, Colonel Crockett has already left. So remember, during the interview, he said he went ahead and got in his Tahoe or whatever. Anyway, and left. And then I guess I forget the exact scenario. I think he called in to dispatch and let them know where he was. Of course, they've got his address and all that anyway. So at this point, to remind everybody, Colonel Crockett is not there. And y'all just heard what Vince said. This is going to be fun to transcribe.
Mean Tweets 2024, Judy Stewart.
Oh, yes. Let's here, show off your shirt real quick. There we go.
We'll get that out of the way.
Yes. That's a pretty sharp looking shirt.
Okay.
All right.
Carry on.
So I'm going to just play this. You tell me what timestamps I need to go to or whatever, okay?
Yeah, well, basically the thing here at the beginning of this is Vince articulates that he took his signs there. It almost seemed like he was trying to say the store. Maybe he just misspoke. But he already knew that Colonel had gotten them out of 3 yards. People at people's residences that said that they didn't want them. And, then you hear them saying that, no, they got permission from every single person. They go up there, and you'll hear that numerous times. You'll even hear Vince in one part say, when I went to the door, I'd give them my business card and ask for permission. And throughout the campaign, I can tell you, we got countless reports of people saying, I just woke up and there's a sign in my yard.
Yeah, I mean, firsthand accounts, right?
Yes.
And let's not forget, we had the video that the colonel shot with what was that guy, Marlon Brown, whatever his name was, Marlon Brando, in which he said, no, they just showed up. Of course, he later did a separate picture with Vince or whatever for Facebook posts, but that's public record on video. All right, I'm going to hit play.
Well,
go ahead.
Jump to the 417 mark.
Okay, so let's jump ahead just a little bit.
Let's pause there.
Y'all got to understand, we're going to jump between officers covering the same time.
Now, I'm still on that same...
Okay, so at that time, by that time you had shown up, correct?
Yes, I just got out, yes, sir.
Okay, and what happened then?
I said, what are you doing on my side?
By the street, sweetie, okay?
I was talking to... What are you doing on my signs? People don't want your signs. I said, that's a lie. I said, I don't trust you. He said, no, you're the lie. I said, no, sir. I know.
Hold on. I'm going to go back 10 seconds.
And put the video on the screen.
Yeah, hold on. All right, here we go.
I was talking to... What are you doing on my signs? People don't want your signs. I said, that's a lie. I said, I don't trust you. He said, no, you're the lie. I said, no, sir. I know you're back. I don't have to.
This is Sergeant Shorten. Am I speaking with?
Hey, it's Dan.
Hey, yes, sir.
Yeah, she called me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's all right, is it? I mean, I'm sure y'all are caught in a freaking mess.
Yeah, we're getting the pieces put together. Basically, apparently what it sounds like is Colonel Crockett, at first he said he had some signs that people didn't want in their yard, so he brought them back over here to Mad Joe's grocery and was dropping them off. Then at one point, I guess Colonel Crockett said he got them from the side of the interstate, but that's as far as I got. Then about that time is when Vince, I guess, showed up, and I guess he had words with Colonel Crockett, but I don't know. I haven't got that statement from Vince yet, so.
All right, and so at this point, we can safely assume that PD has not listened to Colonel Crockett's audio. Obviously, I don't think they've interviewed him yet, but remembering back in the Colonel's audio recording, was there at any point he said he got those off the side of the interstate?
No, there's no point that I recall, but we can play it here in just a minute. But at no point did he talk about the interstate. Maybe he said Benton Road heading up towards the interstate, and yeah, I don't know where the interstate comes into this thing, but I find it interesting so far. We're at Jim Whitman, the city marshal, and now we're at the police chief, Daniel Haugen.
I mean, is he going to call Julian next? What's the deal here?
Well, we both know that he eventually does call Julian, but that we'll propose another question about that here in just a minute, because these officers, Bossier City's finest, did honestly, I got to say, they did a thorough job of vetting out the facts.
Right.
And what exactly transpired. I mean, they sure enough did.
They did their job. Yeah, they did their job.
Now, I got to say, because we got the sheriff's office version, the sheriff's office version had shortcomings. Definitely had shortcomings. And had they simply went to Bossier City and looked at all of this, they would have seen the answer. But then that begs the question, maybe they didn't want the answer.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Very interesting. All right. So we're at the 5:11 mark. Do you want me to let it continue playing?
Yeah, keep playing, because the officer says something here that maybe everybody in the comments, maybe y'all know what this means, but let's let it play.
Okay, here we go.
So, worst case scenario, we'll write it up as criminal mischief, tampering with someone else's property if it gets to that point, if that's what Vince wants.
Okay.
But with a political aspect to it, we'll document something on this.
Yeah, okay.
Do you still want me to send a blue book out on it since it's involving Vince, or just leave it the way it is?
No, you can leave it alone.
Okay, but we will do a report on it.
All right, that'll work. Appreciate it. Sorry to get y'all's business.
No, it's all good. No. Yes, sir.
Okay, you can stop.
Okay.
Look, I appreciate the police chief there. The police chief, he said at the start of that she called him. You heard him say that. He didn't call those officers. And then he's apologizing to his officers. Sorry to get in the middle of your thing there. I mean, the police chief wasn't weighing into it at that point.
Yeah.
He was letting the patrolmen do their job.
Yeah. So far, very professional, guys.
Yeah. I mean, now my question is, what the heck's a blue book? I ain't heard this term.
Well, was the colonel going to sell his car, or Vince had a car for sale or something? I don't know. Maybe that's the blue book they're talking about.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe they're talking about something to do with the True Blue book. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Harmon Drew True Blue.
All right. So do I need to jump to the 10:30 mark?
Yeah, let's jump up to the 10:30 mark. And again, guys, we're processing through multiple body cam, and we're going to go to another officer and here kind of in between, because what happens is the officers get separated, and you have one conversation taking place and another conversation taking place, and you don't pick up certain parts. So they're spread out, and we're going to have to kind of go through this a little bit.
All right, here we go.
And it ain't no law on it yet, and ain't no ordinance on it. Then now that he wants to put, like, you got 3 people running for office, you're going to put one in the yard. He can't. He don't even live in the neighborhood. I know.
Okay. So, how would you like to proceed? What would you? Is this something you just want documented? Is this something that you want?
Can I document it now? And then if I find out where the signs go and get witnesses, how can we do that?
So we're going to write the report regardless. Okay. Just due to the nature of the incident, we're going to document this into official police report.
Okay.
If you want to pursue the charges, we'll put the offense in there and put what happened. Then, if you can figure out where the signs came from, then you can get that information, that address, and follow back up with the police department. Then we can go out, or a detective can go out and talk to that homeowner and say, no, I didn't give permission for that sign to be removed. But we would have to prove somehow that he's the one that took it as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, but
before I put any sign up, I ask people, can I put the sign in the yard? I tell them my name, give them my card. If they say no, I say, well, you can't vote for me, just pray for me.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, wins.
So.
So let's docket it down.
The way that I'm feeling, I'll go ahead and document it. We'll put the offense in there, and we'll leave the report open so it can be investigated to see. Either it'll be sustained or it'll be exceptionally cleared, like there's not enough evidence or proof to go any further with it, okay?
Okay.
So I want to remind everybody that the campaign and the election's over, but the reason we're having to do this now is we just got this information a couple of days ago. As a matter of fact, what was it, Friday? I think Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, and Haygood says 1,000 signs went up in one day. Absolutely, Ron Haygood. There is no way Vince Maggio went to every door, handed everybody a business card, and asked all the signs. There's no way he couldn't do it.
Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah, there's no way. So, and besides the fact that we've got people that say there were signs put in their yard inexplicably. They don't know how they got there, why they got there, or when. Even Marlon Brando or whatever, and we'll play that again here in a little bit. But yeah,
it is what it is. All right.
So keep going, because Vince says something right here that's real important.
Okay, here we go.
Is that what you would like to do?
I like to put his butt in jail, but I can't. Let's docket it down.
Okay. Now, do you have a camera on the corner? Does that record?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basically, that was it. He would like to put his butt in jail.
For what?
Yeah, for what? For bringing your signs back that were put in people's yards who didn't want them?
Look, Judy Stewart says Ruth should have won, period. Look, it was a close race. We don't doubt the registrar of voters and the clerk of court's office. You know, Vince won by his hair of his chinny chin chin, fair and square, except, again, we just got this. And there is zero doubt that the city legally, let me just say, played dodgeball with this so that this video and audio would not come out before the election. It would come out after the election. There is zero doubt in that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was damage control because the last thing they wanted to do was this to come out in the middle of the election. And, you know, look, we get it. And doesn't make it right. It should have been out there ASAP. But that's not the Bossier way.
Very
so
true.
Up to this point in this video, Vince has already made one statement about Colonel Crockett, and you know he knows about him, who he is, the type person he is, blah blah blah. And he says that before we put signs up, he asked for permission, blah blah blah.
Right. All right. So we're ready to the next video at about the 6:47 mark.
Yeah. So I think did we play through at the 12:30 mark on that particular video?
I think we did. I can go back and play it. Yeah.
Well,
all right. So
yeah, go back to that and at the 12:30 mark. You're jumping the gun a little bit.
Okay. Let's see. Give me a second here. So I need to do this. I think it was this video. And again, forgive us, folks. We hadn't put this in our deal that we usually do. All right, here we go.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And
okay.
He's a bad. Well,
just
I know I get mad because I don't like bad people.
He's a bad guy.
So, all right, I'm gonna go make contact with your wife real quick.
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, stop right there.
All right.
That was the point. He's a bad Colonel. He's talking about Colonel Crockett. He's a bad man, and he does bad people. Wonder what he's talking about. Maybe Vince and those folks. I mean, because you know, there's some of y'all watching. Why don't y'all articulate what makes Colonel Crockett a bad person?
Yeah.
And you know, you'll hear Vince say he knows his type. He knows him. I mean, what exactly are y'all saying about Colonel Crockett?
And not just that, let me remind you, Duke, you know, which we never really said anything about it on the show, I don't think. But of course, during campaigns, there are always the whisper campaigns, especially in a race like this where it's pretty contentious. And there were the whisper campaigns that, you know, people were going to try to dig skeletons out of closets and all sorts of things. And, you know, it's no secret because it's public record, but dig up the colonel's divorce and all this sorts of things, blah, 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 blah.
Now I know you've got that video, your cursor's on that video. I want you to skip down and to that other video.
The next one?
The next one. We need to do them in order, and we need to go to that next video.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So hold on just a second. Let me switch screens for a minute. Yeah, that's the one that I'm highlighting right now in the notes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, give me a second because I'm having to match the file names up. So. Okay, should be this one.
Maybe Robert Berry will come in and will tell us about Colonel Crockett. I heard he's had some comments publicly regarding Colonel Crockett. Maybe any of the Team Maggio people would like to articulate publicly what makes Colonel Crockett a bad person. I would love to hear firsthand from any one of those people. I mean, we're about transparency here. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I agree. Paging Robert Berry, you have our phone numbers. You're welcome to come on the show, and
Vince as well too. He doesn't even have to answer a question from us. All he has to do is just come in, say what makes Colonel Crockett a bad person. Just say what it is.
We'll give him the mic and not say a word, and then he can hang up.
Yeah.
Simple.
Any one of you that want
or record a video, Vince, or use some personal privilege at the next city council meeting and state it publicly. You got your choice.
Yeah, or get one of your other people. Juliana would be more than willing. She's a lawyer. She would articulate it probably, right? Get her to say it.
Yeah. All right, so here's that next video. We're just about to the 6:47 mark, so here we go.
Nice to take the sign back so we can use them somewhere.
Whoa.
Wrong video. You got to go to that next video underneath it.
This video right here, right?
No. Below it. No, below it.
That one?
Yes, that one.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to go in order and go to the. We're showing our secrets, folks, but do what you got to do. Okay. So it will be that video.
Yes.
Okay. And I need to go to the about the 50-second mark, right?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Whoops, a little too much. All right, here we go.
So same time frame here as the first video, but from a different officer and different perspective.
Okay, here we go.
You try and call the number back or just got a number.
Out here hollering at Vince, telling him that.
And then how many signs can Mr. Badger put up? I knock on doors. They know me. I put signs up. This is my second time. They're mad because they got.
That sounds like Sharon talking to Haugen.
Yep, it is.
All right.
But listen to what Vince is saying about the signs. Go ahead.
They ain't got that many signs up. He went down City Hall, want to know, okay, pass ordinance, how many can one candidate put up in one district?
So what he was talking about, he's talking
clue
about,
me in on this.
They're just mad because I got so many signs and they ain't got none. Well, I mean, look, insider ball, we weren't going to put any signs up. None whatsoever. We weren't going to put any signs up. And the truth of the matter is if anyone watching this show, and I think we have settled a long-standing debate, signs don't win races.
Yeah, there is zero doubt that Vince won the sign war hands down. By orders of magnitude, Vince won the sign war. He only won the race, squeaked by 38 votes. Putting that in perspective, people.
So do signs win political campaigns? No, signs don't. I mean, do you have to put a few up? I might. Even after this race, I'm going to say no. I don't think that you do. I think you can win a race without putting up a sign.
The electronic billboards that Vince had running, or whoever had running for him, I guess it was Build a Better Bossier Pack. It was their logo on the bottom of it. But those are like $1,800 for a 30-day deal, and you got to do it for 30 days.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody. I mean, if they thought we were trying to put up a bunch of signs, I mean, good grief, y'all were in the dark.
Yeah, you can go look on the campaign finance deals. There were not very many signs purchased on purpose. Okay. All right, so do I need to jump to the 255 mark?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
The off ramps and stuff, is that?
No, we can't put none
I don't know because
exactly. That's
I don't
that's
know
what I was
because he
trying to
said
say.
at first. He first said a woman in the yard, and then he said he got from interstate. So I really don't know where he got it from.
They mentioned the interstate again. What the hell? I never heard the colonel mention the interstate. Maybe I'm wrong.
According to this guy, he got them out of the yard, and then he said he got them off the interstate.
I mean, I don't remember Vince saying that. Maybe it's like we talked about, witnesses in the heat of the moment, and they don't remember things correctly, or who knows. All right, here we go.
council a while ago. I'm gonna get into it with me and Mr. Darby, but Mr. Darby wasn't there. He wants to know why I cut Crockett and Marriott off my Facebook page. I never did. They ain't on my Facebook page.
All right. Let's pause there. Okay. I don't want to get into that.
Okay. Just say the same.
I want to get with
the cop's like, great. Now I have to be Facebook police. I got to give the officer again. Give him credit. He's handling the situation well and with professionalism.
Well, according to Vince, they weren't never on his Facebook page.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that Colonel and West probably can show otherwise.
I'm pretty sure West can.
I will say this. I was on his page and they blocked me and booted me off of his page. So,
man.
When I tried to call you out and correct you for saying that the fire department of Bossier City endorsed you, not the first time, but the second time you did it. And after that, you deleted me. So anyway, I'm not going to go down that road of whether they can boot you or not boot you on your political page or on your, but they did.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Oh, crap. Let's see. Where was I? Dang it. Hold on.
356 mark.
Yeah, I just hit the wrong button again. Hold on. All right, here. Yeah, here we go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what happened then?
I said, what are you doing on my side?
Okay.
I said, what are you doing on my signs? People don't want your signs. I said, that's a lie. I said, I don't trust you. He said, no, you're the lying. I said, no, sir. I know your back. I don't have to lie. Right. I said, what you see is what you did here. I don't have to lie. So he been telling people I'm going to jail. I'm getting indicted. Why are you going to vote for him? Everywhere I got a sign, he goes, oh, don't vote for him. They're going to get indicted. He'll be off the council in 3 months. He'll be in prison. He's telling everybody that. Where's my coat pocket? Let me show you what he did for me.
No, you're the liar. Liar. No, you're the liar. I mean, he said again, he knows the colonel's background. What's he talking about?
Yeah.
What's he talking about? Y'all need to ask Vince. What is he talking about? Why don't he publicly say what he's talking about or what, they were saying? He says here in a little bit talking about dirty politics. Well, I mean, you're talking about somebody's background. What exactly are you talking about?
Now, not just that, as you well know, Duke, people who are political figures, public figures, the bar for what you can say about them is much higher. So, we can say legally, and it's true, absolutely truthful, is that the Second Circuit of Appeals alluded to the fact that they may have committed malfeasance in office. We can also say that if the DA had actually done anything about it, there is a high likelihood, not 100%, that they would actually get indicted and might go to trial, may be found guilty. Now, does that mean 100% that it was going to happen? Well, no, because of course, as we all know, Skyler ain't going to do jack about the good old boys. And apparently, Liz's office don't care either, but we'll see.
Well, wait a minute. I don't want us to be lying about Mr. Maggio here. Okay. But if you will go to the folder and pull up a copy of 56-117, I mean, we'll show you exactly what you're talking about.
All right. Hold on
and probably what Colonel Crockett was talking about at the time, because if it was truly, investigated and prosecuted the way that it should without any bias, I mean, the application of the law regarding what defines malfeasance is really quite clear. It's not even any question about it.
All right, that's the 14-134. Is that the one you want?
Yes.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me click a couple of buttons and it'll magically go. All right, there we go.
Okay, actually not. To go to the one just below that.
Well, I've got them sorted by alphabetical order. So,
Yeah,
all
the
right, I
56
got.
117.
Yeah, I got it. All right, so there we go. Yeah, defendant's refusal to call an election may be construed as malfeasance in office. RS 14134 provides that malfeasance in office is committed when any public officer or public official shall intentionally refuse or fail to perform any duty lawfully required of him. Real simple. The Bossier City Charter is Bossier City law. They're period. They literally refuse to do it over and over in public meetings. So
it's not a question as to whether Vince Maggio and the recalcitrant five refused to do their job. They refused to do what the city charter mandates them to do. By definition, that is malfeasance.
Yeah.
And the DA's office, I mean, it was no surprise, but the DA's office found a way to not prosecute and to not do it.
He said, go investigate this, write a report, and we ain't doing jack.
I mean, and look, you guys read that. You read that. It clearly states that the city council had to put the term limits issue on the ballot for the people. They didn't have a choice. You know,
Right.
You heard the city attorney tell them you have a valid petition, and they just refused to do it. Now, the DA's office in their investigation went on to say that, well, they didn't have a chance. And
they had multiple. You're right. They didn't have a chance. They had multiple chances.
They had multiple chances, but they was taken from the standpoint because we filed suit before the 30 days was up. Well, the thing was, and the DA's office just in their report smoothed over the fact that there wasn't enough time for them to even call a special meeting to do it, and they weren't going to do it. The DA's office didn't investigate from people in City Hall as to whether or not they had had any discussions or whether or not a special meeting was even sought before the 30 days to do it. Why did the DA's office did a thorough investigation, why did they not interview anybody to determine whether they had the intention to call a meeting? No, they had no intentions to call a meeting. In fact, they weren't going to do it. They were refusing to do it. Therefore, it was malfeasance. But there is two standards for enforcement of the law. There are the people who are in, and there's all the rest of us that are out. And Vince Maggio is in, as well as the other calcitrant five. He committed malfeasance along with the other ones, and it don't make a damn whether or not they had an attorney telling them it was okay to do or whether it was not. I would find it highly unlikely that Charles Jacobs and Richard Ray told them, yeah, you can commit malfeasance. I just find it hard to believe that they can do that.
Yeah,
maybe they did.
There's lots of things that are hard to believe in all this scenario. All right, let's see. Okay, so where are we? We need to go ahead and go back to the video, correct?
Back to the video.
All right, and I'm at the 428 mark. We need to go to the 603.
Yep.
All right. Let me jump us up there real quick. Hold on just a minute. This is close enough.
No, I got you. I promise. I will look at it. I promise you. Just let me.
I said, sir, you're lying. I said, we never took nobody's sign. He accused me taking her signs down.
Taking who's the?
That lady's signs, Miss Johnson's sign. Okay. I said, none of my people and not me. I could put my hand on a Bible and pass the polygraph. We never took the sign down. I don't believe in dirty politics. You do what you want, I do what I want. I said, you can't talk to me. I know your background. I said, you go put my signs back up.
Whoa.
Now he said, no, wait a minute. I got to break something down here. He said he doesn't believe in dirty politics and he'll put his hand on the Bible and take a polygraph.
He better hurry before the Bible catches on fire.
Well, I'm just wondering if he'll take a polygraph regarding his signature or lack of signature on his qualifying documents. If he's willing to take a polygraph, will he take a polygraph to determine whether or not he actually signed his qualifying documents?
Wonder if he will. Not would he even take the polygraph? Would he pass the polygraph?
I'm just saying. I mean, he said right there he'll take a polygraph.
Yeah. I don't know. This is your sitting city councilman. Y'all elected him. Wasn't me.
Now notice again, the third time he references Colonel Crockett's background.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe in gutter politics. But he's literally saying this, knowing it would be on record, knowing it would be on this video and on record.
Yeah, and all of this is separate and apart from what we have heard from people out on the street regarding what was being said out in the public. But here on video 3 times now, he's referenced Colonel Crockett and his background. He keeps saying that repetitively, and he says that they don't do dirty politics, yet during the campaign there were a lot of things being said. Something doesn't add up.
Right. I agree with that. All right, here we go.
Took the sign down. I don't believe in dirty politics. You do what you want, I do what I want. I said, you can't talk to me. I know your background. I said, you go put my signs back up and you quit lying on me. No, people called me to take the signs down. I said, nobody called.
That just bugs me. It's wrong preposition, Vince. I know I shouldn't be the grammar police, but it is lying about me, not lying on me. He literally didn't come jump on you and lie on top of you. Okay.
Called you. I said, it's dirty politics, all it is. They playing dirty.
And all this took place out here in the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nothing became physical.
No, just fussing.
Okay, no one pushed each other, no assaults took place or anything else like that?
No, sir.
No direct threats of bodily harm or anything else like that was made, right?
No, sir.
Okay, so looking at it from the outside, if those signs were in a spot and if they were rightfully there and should have been there, the only thing that you have, if you wanted to pursue this matter criminally, would be criminal mischief, which is tampering with the property of another.
All right, so I got to present this question. And I presented it the other day when we were chatting, and neither one of us, I don't think, has looked this up. But here's the question for the Facebook attorneys watching. When you are running a political campaign, do you give the signs to the people whose property you put the signs on? Do you give them those signs? Or are you letting them borrow those signs? And this is an important distinction here because you heard what the officer just said. Criminal mischief. Well, if campaigns are giving the signs to the people to put in their yards, well, it's then the property of the people that they gave them to. And it would be up to those people to press charges. So I don't know legally what the law is on that, as far as are campaigns giving them signs or are they just letting them borrow and use those signs? Any ideas or any thoughts on that, Mr. Lowry?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking that if I go put a sign in the median or on public property and the city pulls up my sign, I need to have them prosecuted. Can we go throw Tommy Chandler in jail?
Probably so. Or at that point, if you're putting them on public right of way, public median and all that, whose property are they then? Are they still the campaigns? It's a legit question I'm asking, folks. I really do not know the answer.
I'm a taxpayer. I mean, I pay for that property. So
yeah, but can you go put anything you want on that property?
Well, why not?
There's got to be a law against it somewhere.
Well, all I got to do is just say, I'm with the port. I'm putting a sign here.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. If you're with the port, they're pretty much above the law.
I'm with the port.
All right.
That's all you got to say. Anyway,
okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. So let's switch back over to the video. Hold on. And here we go.
Okay. Because technically they're your signs. And as long as the wherever they came from, if we can determine that, and the person did say I didn't want them removed, then that's what you would have if you want to go criminal. If you don't want to do that, I can still put that charge in there and we can exceptionally clear it, so this whole incident's documented as far as everything that's transpired.
What did he say he took the signs? I got so many.
Because he was lying because he said, so, you can tell how he lied. First he told me different,
He's lying. Colonel's lying.
He's lying.
Colonel's just lying.
That's not what the audio the Colonel had says, but anyway.
No, he's the most Christian man. He's the most Christian man I've seen.
Yeah, talk about a Judas standing there. Of
Now
course, I don't blame
lying.
him. I guess he's an employee of Vince's, or I don't know, friend of Vince's. I guess I can't really blame the guy. All right, so this officer's walking off. Do I need to fast forward? Because apparently he got tired of that silly conversation.
We can hang all this up. I mean, pretty much, Vince just keeps saying, I talk to everybody about putting signs. I talk to everybody. I would encourage everybody who ended up having a Maggio sign in your yard, you can private message us and tell us, did you ask for a sign, or just a sign show up in your yard inexplicably overnight? I mean, we already are pretty sure we know what transpired and how people who didn't ask for a sign ended up having a sign in their yard. I think we already know the answer, but not that it matters, but if you want to private message us, we're not going to release anybody's names, but send us a message.
Well, look, Duke, we're completely wrong. Vince is an angel in this.
Okay, jump to the 2209 mark.
All right, sorry, I couldn't resist it. Let's see.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, here we go.
That right there is good. I did not see that. You had to.
I hadn't looked at this. It just randomly did it. It was a God thing. God was telling me, or it could have been Satan telling me. I don't
You're
know.
lying. You're lying. You did do that. You good bunch of liars.
Hold on a minute, Jim.
You can call that number first to ask. Hey,
hang on a minute, Jim.
Tell you yes or no.
Okay. And then I'm gonna call my son-in-law and
Jim, all up in the middle of it.
Why is he calling the city marshal?
02096. It'll be 2 to 4 business days if you want a copy of it.
Okay.
620 Benton Road,
Well,
Police Department.
Thank you. Hold on a minute, Jim.
You can call that number first.
Hold on, Jim.
Okay.
Well, he probably needs a sign. I mean, a fence put up somewhere. It's probably what he's.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was trying to get a fence put up around his campaign signs now, so the colonel couldn't get to him. The next thing he's going to say is, "Book him, Dano."
Yeah, that's right. So back up to the video there above that one that you were trying to get, and I was trying to cut you off because now the officers they leave the scene, and the officers are going. Colonel Crockett is called in. We have that audio too. There's nothing of significance there. The officers, when leaving Vince's, they kind of got sidetracked because there was a stalled vehicle in the middle of Benton Road. It wasn't that big of a deal. And now they show up on the scene of these houses, right?
Right.
And anyway,
okay.
So
let me make sure I'm at the right video. Hold on just a second here. So let me do this. Let's see. I need to go. I'm going to jump back up to that other video. Give me just a second, folks. Let me make sure I'm at the right one.
Actually, the one you had below that, I'm so sorry. I am beating you up here.
All right, you're killing me.
I'm going to have them backwards. Yeah, I know I'm killing you. It don't matter. Just pick one and go.
I'm going to the one about the 647 mark. Officer states all three property owners were interviewed.
Let's do that one. He goes to the 3 different properties that, were where the 3 signs were pulled up. Oh, you can do that one right there.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right.
The questions I asked him was anything physical, and he said no. And I said, was there any verbal threats? And he said no. Is that the same?
He made some verbal threats to me about get off my property, do all this other stuff. This is my
verbal
property.
threats, like I'm going to commit a battery against you.
No.
Put someone in fear of receiving a battery.
No.
Okay.
I think it's this one.
All right. I can record that on mine if you want to finish giving him a statement. So it's a voice recording?
Let's want to make it's a recording of when I was there. I think this is it. No, hold on. I don't know why this thing keeps recording.
Right. We've got that. Colonel's,
yeah. That's the same audio recording.
His tech ability is not the greatest.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that there. Is that the one below the one we had just played just a minute ago?
Well, it's the one that. Okay, no, I don't know. I'm getting lost in it now.
Go to the one you had your cursor on that you've been dying to play.
This one right here.
That one, yes.
Okay, so
we're gonna wrap this up, and I promise I will do better next time. And I apologize to everybody because I did a horrible job in laying all this out.
Oh, it's okay. Look, hey, we're amateurs. Don't forget.
That's
we
right.
are amateurs. All right, I think it's. Why does it keep taking me to the same damn video? Hold on, 647. Okay, this is correct. All right, hold on just a second. All right, let me do this. Yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah, look, I hadn't seen any of this, so I just assume it's going to be interesting. So I need to go up to the 647 mark, right?
Yeah, and interestingly, so they've been to the property on Benton Road. They've been to another property kind of over there off of Melrose, and then this is the house of Marlon Brando.
Oh, this should be interesting.
At each one of the houses, the property owner came to the door, and at each house, the property owner says, "Yeah, I told Colonel Crockett to pull up the signs." And they each one of them gave their stories of what took place, and that they had not asked for the signs. So now here you hear the officer who's went down and took Vince. This is the same officer y'all just saw a while ago, and Vince was saying that Colonel Crockett was lying and that how horrible of a person Colonel Crockett is. He's just a bad person and all. It just lie. And listen to what the officer says right here.
All right, here we go.
I think that's your story.
All right, so to conclude, 3 signs were removed. We've contacted all 3 property owners, and they all 3 gave you permission to remove it. As far as the report goes, it's going to be written. We'll give you a case number. It's going to be exceptionally cleared, stating that there's no evidence that any crime has taken place. What I would suggest to stop any further issues is maybe if you can have a written form saying, I hereby give permission for David Crockett or one of my employees or however your people or however you'd want to word it, to remove this sign, this magical sign.
Again, so I gotta say, kudos to, I think that's Officer Short, to the Bossier PD for the way they handled this investigation.
They went to each residence. Horatio Brookins, an abuse of police resources. You better believe it. I mean,
the police chief, the officers, apparently Jim Whitman. I mean, again, who was he going to call? Was he going to find the commander of the state police and go on up to the attorney general? I mean,
so the officers that are initially called, they come to the conclusion that the property owners where the signs were picked up all told Colonel Crockett to pick the signs up.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, this officer is concluding this, saying, you know what? There's no crime here. This is exceptionally cleared. He made the determination right there. This is all a waste of our time, a waste of our taxpayer dollars. All for what? All for what? Because Colonel Crockett was trying to take the damn guy's signs down, back to him, as if the million other signs that he's got is not enough. I mean, hell, everybody knows who Vince Maggio is.
Look,
so
paging Vince Maggio, we have already conceded you won the sign wars hands down, without a doubt.
Yeah. We conceded it before he put the first damn sign up.
there was no plan to fight that battle.
His sign, yeah, he won that the first day. So all that extra money you spent on more signs and more, you were just pissing away money. That, oh my gosh. Anyway, but look, Rex, these Bossier City officers did a thorough investigation. They took witness statements on video, confirmed, that there's no evidence of a crime. There was no crime. Now, fast forward, so you got the Maggios have called the police chief. They've called in Jim Whitman. Oh, wait. Well, they didn't get the result they wanted. So what are we going to do? Because Vince said himself he wants Colonel Crockett in jail. Doesn't matter whether he committed a crime. He wants him in jail, and he's a horrible person.
Right.
So what do? We got to lean on the good old boy way, baby. we gonna call the sheriff in.
Yeah. Okay. So hold on a second. I'm looking in our show files. I don't see the police report here. Hold on. Where did we get it? Where is it?
I didn't drag it over.
Okay. Do you have it handy, or do I need to go get it?
It's back there in that file you created.
Okay. Yeah, it is. All right. We can just do it that way. I can share a screen. Hold on just a second. You're on top of it, Mr. Lowry.
Yeah, my apologies again. I failed exceptionally this week.
That's okay. So let me let's see. Yeah, we should be able to do it. Let me get over to the right screen on my end. Okay, so here we go. So, folks, we'll release this, but this is the incident investigation report. Well, it was. Hold on. For the whole Colonel Crockett Maggio ordeal. I mean, here we go. Some redacted information, all that. Additional names, we'll assume those are the homeowners. The narrative is on February 25th, Officer Byrd, along with Sergeant Short, was dispatched to 401 Thompson Street in reference to a 911 hang-up. No arrests were made. This report is information only. Let's see. Here you go. You can see the supplemental report. Let's see. It's just going through the stuff that we've already talked about here. Let's see.
It lists the witness statements as saying that they each individual witness or location gave permission to, or gave Colonel or advised Colonel to remove the sign.
Right. Like right here, number 17. He then went to blank and spoke with blank, who told him that she did not want the sign in her yard and that he could get rid of it. It's in the police report right there, plain as day. Number 15. Both residents.
Y'all heard Vince say this is all lies.
Right. Both residents, blank and blank, advised him that they did not want V. Maggio's sign in their yard and that he could take the signs up out of the yard. Yet, again, Duke, according to Vince, Colonel's a liar. He's just going to lie on him. Jump up and lie on him.
You got videos. You got the police writing the statements of what took place, but yet everybody's a liar except for Vince, because he,
Look, I'll give him credit. He's right about that. Vince is just a moron. That's it.
Well, I'm not gonna get into personal and take personal shots, but I take issue with him saying that everybody's a liar and he's an angel.
Well, look, maybe personally he's not a moron, but professionally and politically he's a moron. So that's out of my mouth, not Duke's.
Keep scrolling down, And I think there's an additional page that was
Oh,
added to
yes.
this report. I think that's it right there, after the fact.
Okay, let's
Now,
see. Criminal offense, criminal mischief, and tampering.
now,
Number 36. You want me to read it first and then
when
we'll set it
was
up?
that added, Rex? Because wasn't this like February the 25th that all this took place?
Yeah, let me go to this last page. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Yeah, all right. Here, let me do this last page because this will make it clear. It says, all of this took place on February the 25th, 2/25 of 2025. Here we go. This is a case supplemental report. This is supplement report to case number 2025-002096, number 2, on 3/13. So basically a little over 2 weeks later. The charges of revised statute 1459 criminal mischief were added to this incident. This case will be active pending further investigation results. See the original report for additional information. So, think about the timeline for a second. All the video we just showed you was from February the 25th. Yet we've got a note on here that on March 13th, over 2 weeks later, they added criminal mischief to the incident. You just heard Sergeant Short say they were going to exceptionally clear it. What's up with that?
Well, I think I have a little bit of a hypothesis. I mean, we obviously don't need any of this footage to come out or the police reports to come out reflecting that all of the 3 property owners said they told Colonel to pull up the signs. I mean, they didn't want any of this to come out. That's the bottom line. So the addition of this was it because we wanted to prevent everything from coming out during the election?
So in other words, it's a stalling tactic.
And then additionally, you have to consider there was a complaint filed with the sheriff's office. I presume because you had got that stuff by Vince Maggio to the sheriff's office. So I guess that we're police shopping. If we can't get what we want in Bossier City, we'll just go to whoever supported and endorsed our campaign, the sheriff, and see if we can get what we want out of the sheriff's office. And it begs the question, did they? But we can't allow the report in Bossier City to come out while the sheriff's office is conducting their investigation or makes the determination one way or the other. You would almost think that if the sheriff's office then suddenly had an interest, in which there's a plausible reason the sheriff's office would have an interest, because one of the properties is technically not inside the city.
Right.
But you already have evidence that Colonel Crockett didn't do anything wrong, and yet the sheriff's office comes to a different conclusion than what Bossier City did. How is that possible?
Well, and to answer Miss Ruth's question, who signed the supplemental? Investigator is listed as Gregory James Bailey. Supervisor, Stephen Heath Booth. This was done on, again, March the 13th. Now, we're not saying they did anything wrong, but it's a supplemental to the original report, and you heard the officer there at the scene who did the investigation say there was nothing to it.
Now, there's nothing else from Bossier City after this right here. This is the last thing of correspondence that we have. So these additional charges that were added, what was the conclusion on this? Did they come back and say, oh, these are not, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So I 100% believe this was nothing but to delay public release of these things and to give the sheriff's office the ability to put out some report that would cast Colonel Crockett in a bad light to help Vince Maggio in his campaign. That's my conclusion. That's what I read out of all of this. And, you know, it's a double standard, in my opinion, when you use, you know, when this all happens like this. I mean,
it's the only conclusion you can really make. I mean, you can draw from this. And again, Vince won, but only by 38 votes. I mean, there is an argument to be made that this information coming to light could have swung X number of votes in the election.
Well, clearly, Vince said Colonel Crockett was a liar. He said countless times that he is a bad man and has a bad background, but yet he won't say what he's talking about as far as the background stuff, although some of his surrogates have said what they're talking about. You know, maybe we'll go there, maybe we won't. But why don't Vince come out there and say, he says he doesn't believe in dirty politics, yet all of his people practice dirty politics. And he says that Colonel's a liar and everything Colonel said was a lie, but yet countless police reports and the video shows that Colonel Crockett was telling the complete whole truth. So would that have swung votes to show, you know, that what Vince was saying was false? It
who knows?
Very well, it would have been damaging to him. No doubt it would have been damaging to him.
So
go to the folder and play the Marlon Brando recording again.
Okay. All right. Give me just a second. Let's see. Let me do this. Give me just 1 second here. I'm going to do this and this. And I need to drag Marlon in. Come on, Marlon. There we go. All right. Here we go.
This is Dave Crockett. Who am I talking to?
Marlon Brown.
Mr. Brown, what's your address, friend?
Benton Road, Bossier, Louisiana, 71111.
Yeah, you asked me to remove one of Vince Maggio's signs in front of your house about a week ago. Is that correct?
That's very correct.
Yeah, and then somebody came back and put that sign back in your yard?
And told me I couldn't remove it.
Told you couldn't remove it. Who was that?
I don't know. It was a brown-headed lady that was walking, and she said you cannot remove that sign.
Well, I will just let you know that I'll probably send this to bossierwatch. They're a podcast, and we'll put that out to the public. But I want you to know that nobody can force you to put a sign in your yard. You can take it out. You can stick it in the trash. You can do whatever you want to, as far as I know. I'm not for sure. But anyway, thank you much, my friend. And I'd say if you want to take it out, but I'm going to go fix the other sign out there. But thank you very much.
No, you won't.
So,
God bless.
Bless you.
I'll probably send this to both.
So you can cut it off. So was there any investigation of whether or not he's putting signs on private property without their permission? I mean, and threatening people if they pull the signs out? I mean, am I expecting too much out of law enforcement to be unbiased? And, you know, I mean, I kind of think you get that out of Bossier City. I mean, I think you've got some good officers, and I think that if there's any stink there, that you're going to have somebody's going to blow the whistle. I mean, I don't think they can get away with that crap in Bossier anymore.
Well, and look, I want to just reiterate the point one more time. Number 35 right here. Let me put the pointer on top of it. It says, after conducting an investigation and making contact with all the residents that gave D. Crockett permission to retrieve the Maggio sign out of the yard, officers came to the conclusion that there was nothing criminal that took place involving this incident. Yet, 2 weeks later, you have a supplemental where they added criminal mischief to the incident. What the hell?
Yeah, and we'll move. I want to say one more thing about it. Well, Vince, you just say it's dirty politics, but yet you just played complete dirty politics. I mean,
Yeah.
you called a man a liar. You said he's a bad person. You said you wish he was in jail. I mean, you were wrong. So don't you owe the man an apology? I mean, he was being nice and bringing you back. Don't you owe him an apology? I mean, you did commit malfeasance. Whether you like it or not, you committed malfeasance. And just because politics, in my opinion, have weighed into whether you were prosecuted or not, or because you're in or you're out, and obviously you're in, and the gob network's at work. I mean, look, we don't have blind justice in Bossier. That's the bottom line. And any of you watching think that we do, you're lying to yourself. We do not have blind justice.
Yeah, that would be very difficult to argue against you with that, Mr. Lowry. All right. And again, want to say that the investigating officers did a great job. I'm not sure what's up with Bailey and Booth. And I want to know, where that criminal mischief supplemental addition to the incident stands. Colonel Crockett, they may come cuff you. What you gonna do when they come for you?
Yeah, so, speaking of, blind or not so blind justice, it's interesting, Rex, when you get outside the confines of Bossier, when people who are responsible for enforcing the law, when you leave Bossier, it's funny how things always go against the Bossier City establishment. Case in point, Robert Berry in the Cypress District. It got outside of Bossier, and look what happened.
Yeah, very true.
Another similar term limits thing. You get to the Second Circuit. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now we had, you had a good ruling in Bossier from Parker Self, and the Bossier thing kept on fighting. You get outside to the Second Circuit, and they went a step further, put their thumb down, and said the truth, said it out loud, malfeasance. And we have another case with the Bossier Parish Police Jury. Now, we've been fighting Bossier City for years, and we're going to start segueing to the police jury. But you got some problems up there as well too, and it just so happens they picked on some people that
they might not should have. Yeah, they might not should have picked that fight.
That's right. And, these folks were fortunate. Not everybody can fight, but these folks were fortunate enough that they could fight. And the police jury went all the way in on this deal and took these folks to the Louisiana Supreme Court, which defies reason as to why they did that.
Yeah, except to cost us taxpayers more money. I mean, it's just, as the saying goes, other people's money. So I'm going to switch screens here and let's pull up the ruling. So this is hot off the Supreme Courts of Louisiana's website. The case of James McCormick, DDS, and Kim Morris McCormick versus our good friend Joey Butch Ford Jr., William Bill Altimus, Jeremy Darby, and Carlotta Askew Brown, the parish of Bossier. And the Supreme Court of Louisiana says affirmed. Now, what does that mean?
Well, if you'll go to cut 10, I highlighted the high points of this right here and cherry-picked some of the language that probably would be most pertinent to all of y'all. But the story basically of this thing was that the McCormicks, they had a piece of property. It was divided before, they had bought the property, and they had a house. And I think, if I'm correct, their house burnt down or something or other, and they went in and they made some changes, and they wanted to build another house. They started going through the process, and the police jury jumped up and said, "Oh, no, wait a minute. No, you can't do that. The only way you can do that is the the private driveway that goes across this property, you got to basically turn it into a parish road and turn it over to us. And oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay for building the road and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, well, they were like, wait a minute, hold up. No, we're not going to give you our property. We're not going to build a public highway through the middle of our damn property.
Right.
And police jury basically said, oh, yes, you are. We're the government. We have your taxpayer dollars.
We're not going to give you a permit if you don't.
And the court case went on. So they go to court, district court, kind of said basically y'all can build your house, but you're going to have to give the road over. They appealed to the Second Circuit. The Second Circuit overturned what the district court did, and the police jury went to the Supreme Court. And here's what the Supreme Court had to say about the case in the highlighted parts.
Yeah, said the Bossier Parish Police Jury's primary argument rests on its assertion that the court should ignore the plain language of the statute and interpret it such that the prescriptive period runs from notice of the first act constituting commission of the violation. However, while the enforcement of illegal subdivisions may be a difficult task for the police jury, to hold that prescription does not begin until the police jury decides to investigate a violation is not in accord with Louisiana law. In simple terms, the police jury had said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the police jury had said, oh, well, it's too difficult for us to enforce all of this, and so we don't enforce it till somebody applies for a permit, we figure out they've done something illegal, and then we enforce it. But the Supreme Court said, no, that's not actually the way that goes. Highlighted sentence number 2. Go ahead.
Yeah, and basically, you know, the thing was their property, you know, was separated out and parceled, and then after a long period of time, you know, when they were talking about the prescription ran out, you know, the police jury knew that the way that the property was parceled out was in violation of parish rules, and the police jury had not done anything. So then fast forward, when the McCormicks wanted to build their house, they were then saying that, oh, this is illegal. That's what they're calling. Not that the McCormicks had done anything illegal. That's far from
right.
the truth. But the police jury was then taking the position that, you know, look, we can't police everybody trying to build a house or do this or do that, which is really shocking to me because they take a damn interest in every freaking body trying to do it. The hell, they want to be in your bathroom and see whether you're using Charmin or Downy. I mean, you know, good grief.
Okay. So the McCormicks also introduced evidence of numerous instances of split out tracts being sold and building permits being issued that mirror their situation. So in simple terms, the McCormicks introduced evidence to show that the police jury was basically doing a double standard, that they had literally issued building permits even though these permits were issued to people that were in theory violating the same laws the police jury was accusing the McCormicks of doing.
Government picking the winners and losers. Remember that. These folks, I mean, and we're going to talk a little deeper on this, but that is the problem with politics. The people that we're electing, and I hate it because there's good people that go into politics and they end up falling right into this trap of wanting to pick the winners and the losers. I mean, government's role should be to get out of the way of people. Let people do what they want, but not picking who prevails and who doesn't prevail. And that's what you have right here.
Right. All right, so next screenshot, this further indicates the police jury had actual notice of the various subdivision violations. The trial court itself noted in its written reasons for judgment that the police jury attempted to have the private drive publicly dedicated in 2014 during its dispute with Ken Lowry, who owns property off of the private drive. The police jury's failure to enforce the subdivision violation against the McCormicks within the 5-year prescriptive period resulted in the McCormick tract attaining non-conforming status. So in other words, stuff it, police jury.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, I feel pretty confident that the police jury, they're probably have them a big old hot heaping pile of poop to deal with this. I mean, because they just got their ass handed to them. And, you know, I don't think this case is over. I think there's more going to come from this case. And incidentally, we know we've had some people reach out to us. We know of some other cases similar to this where the police jury is trying to do or has tried to do the same things to other people. These are some things that have been going on for a little while. And it's unfortunate for us, the taxpayers, because your elected officials up there, it's other people's money. They don't care. It's not coming out of their pockets. They've got their health insurance and they're getting their little check and they're got the feather in their hat, burnishing their resume so they can run for judge or whatever, freaking position they're wanting to run for. They've got that already. So,
well, and look,
they don't care.
Let me hit this from another angle too. Just think of how many roads or potholes or whatever that the police jury could have fixed with the money that they literally wasted in this court decision. Because not only are the McCormicks out a lot of money, and look, I hope they sue the pants off the police jury and they're able to get their legal fees back. But it's not just the McCormicks that are out the money. It's, like you said, it's us taxpayers. It's other people's money. It's all our money that the police jury just wasted just because they felt like it. So.
Yep, no doubt. No doubt about it. So I think it would be appropriate to go to the police jury meeting and let's show y'all kind of what's going on with the police jury. And as we segue over, because look, I got to tell you, it didn't seem like it was all peaches and cream up there today. In fact,
there was a little bit of chaos going on. All right, hold on just a second. Let me get this fixed.
I'm kind of, yeah, I agree, Wes. Where is the AG on things in Bossier? Where is the AG? Do you know we have a Louisiana Attorney General?
I was going to say, what is an AG? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Bossier Parish falls within the legal framework of having a state attorney general. We used to, but I don't think we do anymore for some reason.
Well, it might be that, that famous dividing line right there about, I don't know, what is it, about Lafayette, Lake Charles, somewhere in that area. Maybe we're too far north.
Yeah, well, right. There'll be an election soon enough, and those lines will be redrawn.
Yeah. We interviewed Liz in full disclosure, thought she was a great interview. She seemed like the right candidate for the job, but I don't know. I'm beginning to question our judgment, Mr. Lowry.
Me as well.
Okay, so this is the police jury meeting. Which timestamp would you like to go to first?
Well, let's just go to the 1919 mark. We're going to cruise through this.
Yeah.
No, Ryan, I disagree with that. He did not suck because he got Robert Berry out of there.
Yeah, we'll give him credit where credit's due. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did his job. I mean, I can't say nothing about there's not a job been done this time around. Anyway, 1919.
Okay, here we go.
Second question I have regards around the removal of an exception to the subsection 1. We're speaking about open ditch roadways. Open ditch drainage will be permitted where each lot has an average width of 125 feet and is no less than 1.5 acre in size when the subdivision is supported by community and water and sewer. So y'all are removing that provision from this ordinance, meaning no, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the reason I'm up here and asking question. There will no longer be, this is a street construction requirement, but what happens if the street is existing? Are we no longer able to subdivide lots on an existing street that has open ditch less than 125 foot? That's my question.
I think that's been addressed in the Benton MPC. Is that what you said? Not? So that's still going to go to the MPCs for discussion.
So
and
this,
what I'm hearing you ask. Let me push my button. So what you're asking is if I've got 5 acres and I want to keep 300 foot across the front, and I've got 100 foot left, and I want to give it to my son. Are you asking us, can that not happen anymore?
That's what I'm asking.
Anywhere in the parish?
Well, without a variance.
Okay.
I mean, the removal of the 125 footer.
Where are we at on that?
What section are you referring to, Ryan?
And this is not anywhere in the parish.
We're on
be in the
page 31 of 38.
No, this is anywhere in the parish is what he's asking.
All right, so I want to pause for just a second. I want to give the police jury credit. They went from absolutely the worst streaming meetings around our parish to their audio is top notch now.
Yeah, no doubt. They are high achieving with what they're putting out now. And I want to say this, whether I agree with them, whether I disagree with them, I will tell you that I like this public debate.
Yeah.
Regardless of the issue, I appreciate the debate on issues and content that they're having in view of the public so that you can understand the dialogue and what they're talking about. And what they're talking about here is they're amending some of the rules within the parish in regards to, construction and residential housing and things like that. And, Ryan Estes, who is a very knowledgeable person, is up there articulating about one of these changes regarding, if you're going down a highway and it's got a ditch in the front of it, the parish is amending from 125 feet, as I appreciate it, to has to be 200 foot of road frontage for you to, I think, put a driveway in or something on a public highway. And it has to have water and sewer. And he's raising the issue about this change. And one of the reasons he's raising it is because, like him and a lot of other developers that have projects already in process or people have things going, are they going to be forced to change after they've done made plans on 125 feet? And so this debate is going on, and I can't help but believe that this higher oversight and debate that they're having is in some small part because of the McCormicks and the challenges the police jury is facing. So now they're having to be a little bit, and you can tell everybody's kind of uptight a little bit. So keep playing.
Yeah, and to that point, having watched police jury meetings in the past, a lot of it, not all the time, but a lot of it has been they bring items up on the agenda, they rubber stamp it, there's virtually no discussion, if any, and they move on. At least, I agree with you, Duke, at least here, they're having the discussion.
Yeah, and Jeff Sadow makes a good point, except for the fact that they stopped showing the results of votes. Yeah, I noticed that too. And he's right. It rarely does it matter because they always almost vote unanimous. They know what they're going to do before they come in there. But with this debate going on, it ended up getting contentious, and they're kind of arguing a little bit. And you'll see this drag out. And he's right. It did matter. The vote. We don't know, but I suspect it was pretty damn close.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Do we want to keep playing or jump to the next timestamp or what?
Keep playing.
Okay.
If you want to speed the
Right here.
speed
The
it up.
removal of subsection B, no longer allowing lots 125 foot in width on an existing road. I mean, because I have a specific case coming up before you today for preliminary hearing that would directly affect.
It eliminated the 125 foot and moved them to 200 feet in subsection A.
So you're telling me every lot that anybody tries to split out has to be 200 foot wide now? Or is this for new subdivisions?
So it would be new subdivisions, or if there's some sort of geometric constraint, I mean, you could reduce the width. Like if your lot was
I'm just saying
150 foot wide.
I'm just saying if I got
to clarify, isn't that Eric Hudson?
Yes.
Okay, so that's Eric Hudson with the police jury or the parish speaking. Okay.
a 300 foot wide lot and I want to give my son 150 foot and I'm going to keep 150 foot that's on a parish road, is that not allowed anymore without a variance?
Well, these are, I mean, that's what it says.
So it won't be allowed anymore?
That's what it says.
I mean, you would have to ask for some sort of variance to do it, but this is referring to, let me read it, okay? It says, an exception to subsection 1 of this section, open ditch drainage and asphalt pavement will be permitted where each lot has a width of 200 feet and is no less than 1/2 acre in size, okay? So we removed the subsection B, which allowed for 125 foot wide lots with community water and sewer, because y'all want curb and gutter subdivisions. Okay?
Not all of us want curb and gutter subdivisions.
Yeah. And you know, we don't want open ditch drainage in highly dense subdivision, 125 foot lot. That's why we went to 200 foot. That's how it is in the parish. You know, so that's.
And that's the reason I'm asking. This is a street construction requirement, and I have a case that is an existing street coming up before y'all later for preliminary hearing that I have 125 foot wide lots on that meet your current ordinance. Is that no longer going to be allowed?
They will.
So let me clarify or clarify for me, make sure I'm correct. What he's saying is they literally changed the ordinance, or they're changing the ordinance. He's got a lot coming up that is okay under the existing ordinance, but now that they've changed it, would pretty much, you know, he would have to redo that lot.
Well, yeah, they're changing rules, and a lot of the jurors don't even know the rules that they're changing, and
that literally they changed.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you got Estes up here, he's sitting here trying to put a case forward to say that this is a change that you're going to put on me that's going to adversely affect me. I've already been in this process. I mean, and that could be anybody, but that's the way the Bossier Parish Police Jury has operated. It's, you know, loose and fast, and just
hence the McCormicks.
Yeah. You know, kind of the same scenario here, and this thing trudges on, and right. I don't think that I time stamped it correctly. But
what are we looking for?
I'm looking at the notes. So let's go ahead and just move forward. Let's get through this. 33-37.
Okay, yeah, spot where Ken Ward comes up.
Yeah, and Ken Ward comes up and tries to address the jury regarding this stuff. There was a lot of back and forth. It was kind of boring, honestly was. But they actually went at it a little bit.
All right, here we go. Tell me when to stop.
I appreciate your time and effort on this. I think in the public hearing, one of the things that didn't get brought up was the fact about the financial responsibility for the parish. And I think if I didn't bring it up, I would be doing some injustice here. We've talked about that in great detail. We appreciate the opportunity as administration that when the moratorium question came up and the opportunity to really look at designs of lots, but as we talked about design of subdivision or street design, the opportunity to actually help us adjust the opportunity to raise the funds to do maintenance on roads. And so as we talked before, this allows us to make a 20 to 25 year investment on these pavements and structures, and allows us to collect more revenue. So we're not out making maintenance efforts within the first 15 years, where in some subdivisions our ad valorem taxes doesn't even pay for that. And so this allows us to push that further into the future, and we can actually start paying for our roads maintenance on a more regular basis. So obviously, administrations, we're for it for our number one reason for financial stability and actually stability for the future of our roads as well. I'll answer any questions if y'all have any on that.
I agree with that. I think there's just jurors that have a lot more questions that are uneasy with what's happening right now.
All right.
Yeah, you said it's a 20 to 25-year decision. There's a couple of guys who do not know how they want to vote yet. They're confused. I don't think it's going to kill us to wait 2 weeks to make them.
Hey, wait a minute. Who's that guy?
I think that's that South Bossier guy.
Oh, full disclosure, I have not been listening to every police jury meeting, but I'm actually pleased that's that Sutton guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's that sidewalk guy. Wasn't he a sidewalk guy?
Yeah, I guess they're still skipping down the sidewalk. I don't know. But anyway, good job, Keith. You spoke up.
He did. Keep playing him because they have some pretty good arguments here.
Understand what they need to vote on.
Well, that's perfectly understand. I just wanted to make sure we talked about that aspect of it, which is the financial side of it.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on it. If it goes down, we'll bring it back up.
I make a motion to table it.
The motion was denied.
You can't do that again.
It's already had the motion.
Yeah.
Little procedural debate.
Same motion. That's what we're voting on right now. It's the motion that's on the floor. Vote it up or down. Clear the screen.
Is that Darby wearing a mask still?
Good. Motion passed.
I can't tell, but somebody.
I guess
Item number 12, public hearing case.
I guess that's appropriate for the McCormicks situation since the police jury was literally trying to rob them. But I digress.
I mean, good gosh, somebody tell Darby that, that was all a lie about the COVID stuff and wearing a mask. And could somebody please tell him?
Yeah, if you're going to do it, Darby, wear the N95, not the stupid little. But anyway.
I mean, he needs to get an SCBA. If he's he needs to wear an SCBA. I mean, good grief.
All right. So where shall we go next?
Anyway, you ended up having Travis Beatty come up. Y'all may remember the Beatty name because we had some folks
where
out
have
in
we?
Halton that
Where have we
lost
heard
their
that?
house, and they said something about the Beatties and developments out there or something to that effect. And he pops up in the in the police jury meeting here. And anyway, let's go to the 5827 mark. So,
okay.
All right. Do you remember, Rex, us talking about the port and that they could come and go as they please, do what they wanted? And, some elected officials said that we were crazy. The port can't just come and go as they please, that's a lie, that we're not telling the truth, that's not correct. The port can't just come and go as they please.
Yeah, I mean they are accountable to multiple government entities, and they can.
No, they're not.
Well,
no, they're not. That's what they say, but no,
that's
they're
what
not.
they say. Well, that's what. Well, wait. How do you know that for sure?
Well, I think I can prove it. I mean, we said it before, and some police jurors even said that we were lying and that we weren't telling the truth. We were, like Vince Maggio says, liars, dog-faced pony soldiers, just like Colonel Crockett. We're liars.
But all right, so here in a little bit, I want to see this proof when we get ready that we are not liars. We might be biased, but we're not liars.
I mean, and look, there is some truth in Facebook. You know how I know that?
How do you know that?
Because the police jury said so.
Oh, well, let's listen in and see. All right, here we go. This is Ken Ward, right?
Yeah, 5827.
All right.
This is a letter that we sent in coordination with the port, the Caddo Parish School Board, Caddo Parish Sheriffs, Bossier Parish School Board, Bossier Parish Sheriffs, and the City of Bossier. This is going in opposition of House Bill 480, which strips away the vital opportunity that the port has as it relates to working on new development and activities. That when it's bringing in new development, that right now they have the full authority to negotiate those because the members of the board of the port are all assigned by the jury and the cities. So therefore, they have the authority to do that. This bill would actually strip that and require that every decision that the port makes as it relates to new developments would have to come back before each city and each parish. The bill was heard in committee on Tuesday. It did not pass the committee. It's still pending. This same bill was brought forth last year and did not make it out of committee that time either. So that's all this is, just to ratify it since we sent it in last week. Yes, sir.
This is one you called around, I believe, and got.
Yes, sir. I talked to Tom and Glenn both about that to make sure that we were all in agreement to send this.
Who's sponsoring the bill? Danny McCormick.
Danny McCormick, Representative Danny.
So,
Hang
yeah.
on.
All right, here we go.
Whoa. So
All right.
it called to make sure we was all in agreement. Walking quorum?
I think he was talking about all the other entities. You know, they called the city
Oh.
council to make sure everybody was in lockstep.
Well, the reason I say that is because he also said that the city of Bossier, agreed and they took action. So, but I don't recall seeing that at a council meeting.
I don't remember seeing that either. Maybe somebody should ask about that. But paging Colonel Crockett, paging West Marriott.
Did Bossier City have a walking quorum to make that determination? And interestingly, I saw that in the legislature when this bill was debated here on this past Tuesday, that there was a letter from the Caddo Commission, the chairman of the Caddo Commission, yet even Danny McCormick made the point that the commission
They hadn't voted on it yet.
Had not voted on it. So did they have a walking quorum?
Or was it just a letter from what's her name? Stormy Gage, Thunderstorm, Rainstorm Watts?
Now what we're talking about here is like, as we have, and Jeff Saddle had a great article this week. I encourage y'all to go and read his article. He kind of touched on it a little bit. But we covered this, I don't even, God knows how many shows ago this was, man, but we showed, it's been years. We showed when the legislation, I think it may have been 2021, 2022, whenever we showed Cedric Glover and Danny McCormick were the two people who raised the red flag about the port and their government creep, you might call it, and getting legislation passed that gave them the ability to come and go as they pleased within any jurisdiction within the parishes that they resided in, that increased their span of control beyond the confines of just the port, but to the parishes. Some elected officials said that that's not true. They have to come to us. Some elected officials said, oh, Rex and Duke are just liars, that that's not true. They can't do that, and that they're unaccountable to anybody. Well, we're going to show y'all today that all those elected officials, they're actually the liars.
Shall we hand them the eggs that they can put on their faces?
They're the ones that are not being honest with you. They're the ones not being straightforward with you. And, here they articulated that Danny's bill did one thing. And I admit I have not read Danny's bill, but I did hear what Danny said describing his bill. But basically, this was just a requiring the port to give notice to the government entities about the deal that they're going to do, that they're going to propose. And you say, well, why is that important? That's important because if it's a fire district and the burden that's going to be placed on the fire district, which is what took place in Caddo Parish regarding the solar farm, if the port suddenly decides to move into Bossier and put a project that requires, Chief Wallace and his department to have to put forward certain fire apparatus or equipment or things in place to support this thing that the port does. The port, as it stands right now, doesn't have to say a dadgum thing. They don't even have to tell the police jury. They don't have to do any damn thing.
Yeah,
And
they kind of supposedly or ostensibly, that's not a correct word, but anyway, do it out of the goodness of their hearts. But there's no legal requirement, no legal repercussions if they don't do it.
that's right. And you know who the burden falls back on? It falls back on you and I. In our taxes, we will have to be responsible for paying an increased tax to cover whatever these extra expenses are if the port decides that they don't want to do it the right way or I mean anyway. So I say we go to the legislature thing and let's go ahead and fast forward and play that.
All right. Well, let's give me just a second here, and let me go do a little clicking around here. Let's see. Oh, let's go here.
Well, Barry Butler, the thing is the port, like we said, and we're fixing to prove it to y'all, the port doesn't even have to acknowledge zoning. If they want to come, I made the joke in a previous show that if the port wants to come put a sewer plant in the middle of Green Acres Place and turn your fishing pond out there into one big oxidation pond, guess what? There's not a damn thing any of y'all can do. Nothing. If they want to come up and turn Black Bayou into a hot water lake to power a nuclear plant, if you need a lake, they can do it. And guess what? Ain't nothing the police jury can do about it. Ain't nothing the cyber district can do about it. And it don't matter if if it's zoned correctly or not. They can come and expropriate all of your houses that they want to expropriate and run it down your throat. And there ain't nothing that you can do. And Bossier City, Bossier Parish, Caddo Parish, Shreveport, all of our elected officials are 100% on board with this. They're okay with this. They don't want any accountability. By sending this letter down here opposing Danny McCormick's bill, they're all saying, we don't want to know. We are checking out, even though we're the only people who are elected in this process, we don't want anything to do with all of it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to jump to the 150-30 mark because Danny does just a minute or two of a little bit more background on HB 480. Does that sound good?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
This this bill comes out of in North Caddo Parish. There was a solar farm that came to North Caddo Parish that fell under this pilot program, and we in North Caddo Parish are a very rural, very poor district. We had a lot of concerns when they started talking about this pilot program because our rural fire department was going to get little to no taxes out of this. We actually went to the port, the chief and different members of the fire department and the board went there, and we kind of voiced our concern about that. But they had told us through the process that they always go to like in that situation, being in Caddo Parish, they'd go to the commission, the school board, and to the sheriff to get their approval. And they had followed that, I know, in the pine log sawmill they had done in North Bossier. But in this particular instance, they actually the commission didn't get to vote on it. They were actually Woody Wilson was the head of the Representative Jackson, what's his title when he was there? The administrator of the commission, whatever you want to call that. He signed off on it. The commissioners didn't get to vote. It actually, the sheriff did give his approval, and then it went to the school board, and the school board was put on their agenda late, and they didn't have any numbers to go with it, so they didn't really have any numbers to make their decisions on. The concern about that is this, is like in the school board's situation, the first year, the fire department, the tax that were being abated for the fire department were $1,254,000 just in year one is what our rural fire district lost. Just in the first year, the school board lost $5,444,000. I think it's important for the school board to have that information before they give their approval. I believe you could have looked, if you did the long calculations on this, we could have built a new school in Caddo Parish for what this abatement on this one solar farm would have given us.
Now, I want to say this. So the argument is, well, wait a minute. They need to be able to, whatever the government entity may be, whether it's the port or anybody, they need to be able to negotiate with these various businesses and offer them these tax abatements and these incentives and all these other handouts so that they can attract them away from other municipalities or other areas. Here's what I say to that. I personally think it should all be transparent. I think that's horse crap, to put it bluntly. I think it should all be transparent. If it was required for all the entities to be transparent statewide, then the differentiating factors would have to be available workforce and other amenities in the area or other things in the area or the specific jurisdiction that are conducive to that particular business. That's what I think. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right, but I had an elected official that you can thank the port for chasing aces, which mean Jeff Sadow, which means without the port's power to make deals unilaterally, one of chasing aces' principles wouldn't have been chasing Duke around the campaign trail. But let's use, great point, Jeff Sadow. I'm going to use this example. And I don't know, I may be fixing to hit on something, but I had an elected official that kind of brought this issue indirectly up to me, and they said, well, they said, if you make things public or you make, reports have to be filed with the local governing agencies as to what the deal is, that allows other people, competing businesses and or government entities to see what is being proposed and to counter that and offer a sweeter deal and compete. And so in the
shocker.
In the case of chasing aces, well, I think there was some debate about there being a Topgolf thing out at Louisiana Downs, right? So if you keep things private and you don't make things kind of public to that point, if government says to one company, let's say Topgolf at the riverfront as company A and Topgolf at the racetrack as company B, and you make some deal with Topgolf at the dump, and they're going to do it for this much less taxes, and Topgolf at the Louisiana Downs is going to do it for this, and you're picking which one is going to get the better deal, but not making it public. That way you can determine which one will be most cost effective. So you're picking the winners and losers, and if both came, or in this case, let's say you had two of them both making widgets, and one of them is going to cost more to make the widget than the other, that company is going to be at a disadvantage. They're not going to be able to compete against company A. So you're setting that company up for failure. But the problem is when government is determining who's going to win and who's going to lose, you're how do you know the inside ball? I mean, in the case of Caddo Parish, there had to be a fight put up over the fire district. It was going to be the taxpayers that are going to lose. The taxpayers were going to have to fund more of the stuff to be able to have the firefighting equipment or whatever to respond to an industrial type thing out there being the solar farm. And you'll hear in just a little bit that there's not ever going to be any tax revenue basically come of it, and it creates one job. one stinking job.
Yeah, I love it when these companies come in. Oh, they're gonna and look. I've been on the other side of this with a company moving our factory before in the past, and it's what they do. They come in and they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to provide 200 direct jobs and 1,000 indirect jobs," or whatever the numbers are, and very rarely do they ever hit those expectations.
But Danny's bill was just simply requiring that when they make these deals, that they report them to the local governing agency. Not that the police jury or anybody can do a damn thing about it, but it's just mandating that they report whatever deal that that they make. And they can't stop them. They gave that right away. They can't stop them.
But hold on a second. So, and this is where I'm a little confused by this, because I'm fixing to play the clip here where we get all the feedback of all the government entities that are in opposition. I don't understand that.
They don't want to know. All your elected officials, they don't want to know what the port's doing. And why do they not want to know? Why do they not want to know what deal they're making and what expense you, the taxpayers, are going to be, saddled with? Your only elected officials are saying, "Hey, we don't want to do our job on behalf of all of y'all." And
instead of looking out for you, the taxpayers, they're literally saying we want to look out for the port. And don't take our word for it. I'm going to hit the 153 mark. Here we go. I think he lists them off right here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rep. McCormick, so some of the opposition I heard was pursuant to the amendment that you put on that removed LED. So I'm assuming that you're aware that Bossier City Mayor is opposed, the Bossier Police Jury is opposed, Shreveport Mayor is opposed, Caddo Parish Commission is opposed to your bill, Sheriff Henry Whitehorn Sr. is opposed, Caddo Parish School Board. So my question to you is with the removal of this amendment, I think it would help you if we could voluntarily defer this bill and see if their opposition has changed.
And honestly, I've written nobody's reached out with any opposition to me, so I'm not aware of that. I know the Caddo Commission has not voted on it. I talked, my commissioner told me this morning, and they have forwarded a resolution that's supposed to be voted on Thursday, so I know they haven't even voted on it. So none of those other entities had reached out. I don't guess I can ask questions, but it's funny you have that information and I don't. But I haven't heard from any of them.
I apologize to you. I'm going to put these in the records, but this one is.
And in full disclosure, this was on May the 6th. This meeting was on May the 6th. We just showed the police jury meeting from, what was it, May the 8th, I think. So 2 days later, 2 days after this.
So is there still some of y'all out there in the comments? Do y'all still not believe us when we say that the port is not accountable to anybody? Do y'all think that we're lying? Do y'all think that we're just making that up? I mean, elected officials, do y'all think that I'm just making that up? Text me privately. You don't have to say it on the show in the comments, but if you think I'm making this up and that your vote that you were elected to do on behalf of the people, if you think it doesn't matter when it comes to the port or your say, and that, I mean, when you think it doesn't matter, do you think I'm full of it, full of crap? Do you think I'm a liar like Vince says about Colonel Crockett?
They just lie on me.
So
all right,
okay, let's call Eric England to the mic.
Paging Eric England. Here we go.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Eric England. I'm the Executive Port Director of the Caddo Bossier Parish's Port Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Danny Malone. I serve as general counsel to the Cattle Bossier Parishes Port Commission.
So my question, Mr. Malone, under current statute, does the port have the global authority to approve or deny a pilot program, or do you have to seek out the governing authorities' approval?
Currently, under the port's enabling legislation, it has the ability to negotiate pilots, notwithstanding the approval process of any other governmental entity.
Break that down for me. What if your police, jury, your sheriff, and your school board all oppose, can you still give a pilot against their opposition?
We can.
All right, that was my question. Thank you, sir.
Drop the mic.
Thank you,
Ding, ding, ding.
Drop the mic.
Do we need to play it again for those of you in the back of the room?
I'm definitely going to make a Facebook reel out of that.
I mean, I don't know how much clearer it can get.
I got to give credit to you, Duke. You were the one that got on this, crazy train a while back. And I thought, no, one government entity can't have that much power. And as it turns out, you were absolutely correct.
And not a one of these damn guys out there at the port are elected. None of them. All of you, the people's elected officials, your vote counts for nothing. These unelected bureaucrats can do whatever the hell they want to do, wherever they want to do it, whenever they want to do it, and there ain't a damn thing any of you can do about it. Yeah, these guys right here, I mean, I would suspect that both of these two sitting at this table, probably over $500,000 between the two of them is what their salaries, what their take is.
Yeah.
That's what all this is about. It's a money train down at the port, and none of y'all are on it. I'm not on it.
We're
Rex,
not
I know
on
you're
it.
not on it.
Oh, certainly
Bossier
not.
Watch isn't
No.
on it.
No,
Danny
we're the
McCormicks
ones.
not on it.
We're the ones having to fund the coal and the fuel for this crazy money train that they're on.
But all your elected officials, they got no problem with it. Why is that? Why is that? So, you know what? Hey, zoning. You got to have zoning, right, Rex? I mean,
surely.
If you want to put a widget factory up down there in Carriage Oaks, I mean, it wouldn't meet zoning.
Oh,
but
surely the port has to follow those laws. I mean, they can't get around that, can they?
Well, I don't know. Let's see what they say here.
All right, let's continue.
Vice Chairman Fontenot, Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Vice Chairman Fontenot asked almost every single question I thought of. I mean,
that's why he's the vice chairman.
My goodness, he took it.
Yeah.
I do believe that, was there a court case or was there some more recent legislation in the last decade that dealt with ports and you enabling? Because I do recall when I was on the local parish board, there were some issues regarding zoning. And I know we're talking about a pilot here, but there was an issue regarding zoning as it related to the port. And the port had, basically, there was the attorneys, I think the city attorney was saying, or the MPC, the Metropolitan Planning Commission was saying that y'all had to go through the MPC and all that kind of stuff. But then there was some clarifying language that basically said the port had the authority under, I think, either the Constitution or something.
That is correct.
But I believe this somewhere aligns in there where the way you all are established, and not just the cattle port, I believe ports all across the state have this ability. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that is correct, Representative Jackson. Actually, I drafted an opinion 2 or 3 years ago with regard to that particular issue.
Okay.
And with respect to the opinion, my opinion was actually codified in the enabling legislation of the port as it exists today.
Correct.
So, to dumb that down for all us regular folks out here, what he's saying is among government entities, they are a god.
That zoning does not even apply to them. I mean, again, when I said if they want to move into the middle of Green Acres Place and create a turd factory in Vince Maggio's front yard in the name of the port, there ain't a damn thing any of y'all can do. You can call Tommy Chandler, and they're going to tell Tommy Chandler to go beat it.
Well, but Tommy wouldn't do that because Tommy supports the port.
Oh, and yeah, they all 100%. None of them, no elected official seems to have a problem with any of it. In fact, they don't even want to know what these guys are doing. In fact, you know what? You don't even have to check with us. You just do whatever you want to do. Have at it. Zoning doesn't matter. NPC doesn't matter. Whatever we want to do, have at it, baby. Get going.
All right, so I'm going to jump ahead to the 204 mark, and there's a little bit of interesting dialogue here about public input to the port.
No, the removal of LED from the process is without objection. We don't believe they should be involved in this particular process, as the process goes before the State Bond Commission anyway. After it vets the 9-member Catawba Parish Port Commission, every bond issuance of this nature, of a pilot, goes before the State Bond Commission. So these transactions, these interactions don't operate in a vacuum. They go through a very structured, may even be statutory for all I know, but it's statutory. This follows a process of public input. Right. And it's followed a public process of input for over 3 decades that we've been doing these without concern.
How many of y'all regularly attend the Caddo Bossier Port Commission meetings? How many of you, look, I'll say this, at one of the bond commission meetings we were at and you and the colonel were at, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but only slightly, the bond commission most of the time, just rubber stamps the stuff coming through. I mean, they're just putting their seal of approval that things have been done legally on it. So you have the opportunity for public input, but not much.
Well, yeah, and even if you went and said anything, the bond commission is going to say, we have no authority to stop this. They are fully within their legal right to do whatever the hell they want to do. And you know what? They are right in saying that.
Yeah.
Your legislators have enabled these people to do whatever. And your local elected officials, the police jury, your city council, all of your elected officials, they've enabled these people to do whatever they want. No checks and balances. There's no checks, and none of these people are elected officials. Not a one of them.
They're all appointed bureaucrats. I wonder who's going to be the next one appointed to the port here pretty soon. I wonder who that could be.
And Eric England says, he called them a governing authority. I mean, no, you're a taxing authority. The people gave you the ability to tax by passing, an initiative
Millage.
to fund the port.
Right.
But you're not a governing authority because you're not elected by the people. You're simply a taxing authority, and you're basically.
Well, they're like the Cypress District on mega steroids. They're appointed bureaucrats who have the ability to tax and are not really that accountable at all.
I mean, when I think of a governing authority, that means elected individuals, people who are elected. None of these asswipes are elected. None of them.
Right. Here we go. Let's listen to them.
This tool, in its sophistication, allows a governing authority such as the port to take ownership of a project without the liability of paying it off, so that we can offer an enhanced incentive to a company beyond what otherwise is statutorily allowed. So yes, the law as it exists gives us that nimbleness to move at the speed of business, to move at the speed that the industry is looking to make a decision.
Yeah.
When an industry, with the exception of just a couple, is in the site selection process, they're already behind. They've already looked in the forecast, and they're trying to get the project built as quickly as possible. If we add layers of necessary approvals that are unnecessary, that we haven't had a problem with in the past 30 years, it's going to slow us down. And we're going to be in second place. And frankly, that's not where we want it. I know it's where we don't want to be.
Yeah, Lord knows we don't want accountability. We'll deal with the problem after it happens, not before it happens. We'll deal with it afterwards, you know.
Yeah, because look, Jeff Sadall pointed out England's salary alone is about 475,000 with benefits.
Yeah. So, I mean, so let's talk about that. Is he overpaid and making too much money? I mean,
look, he's doing his job.
Would you think everybody would vote for that if they put that pay raise, that salary for that guy to a vote of the people? Do you think people would vote for that? No, they wouldn't vote for that. But here we are after the fact, the public, how do we deal with that? The problem is his salary, and now the people are left with how do you deal with that? You know,
right.
It's hard. It's almost impossible for us to deal with that. And that's what he's advocating for. He's advocating, don't put any checks and balances on the front end. We deal with in case there's a problem after the fact, because it'll be harder for you to address it after the fact than it is in the front end.
Better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Haygood puts up a comment and says the Chevron doctrine lawsuit ruled on by SCOTUS would apply to the port. They can't have rule of legislation without going through the legislature and signed by the governor. Well, here's the problem. Maybe that's true, Ryan. I don't know. I'd have to read up on the Chevron doctrine, but the problem is you got to file a lawsuit. And they got more money than you got. I'm pretty darn sure. No offense to you, but I'm pretty sure they got more money because they got all our tax dollars.
OPM.
OPM.
And your elected officials don't want to hold them accountable, except for Danny McCormick. He's the only one.
Except for Danny McCormick, yeah. And you heard this is, the second year in a row or second time that he's tried to put forth some legislation like this?
Now, yeah, so Representative Scammerhorn, he starts talking about this. He weighs in. He starts talking about the solar farms, and he points out the fact that it'll never pay the taxes, and it might have created one job. And then Eric England tries to come back and address it, and it's just kind of struck me odd what Eric England says at the 217 mark.
All right, let's listen.
You know, I've always had some reserve, as Jennifer would know, about the far-reaching grasp of the ports, okay? Because it's parish-wide. You know, if you have a port, it's parish-wide. So, authority. My concern is, probably like Representative McCormick's, is the project that we're talking about is a solar farm. It created some jobs while it was being constructed. Now they have one employee, maybe. They replaced one or two employees that was taking place on the farm itself. Also, you stated earlier that, you know, in 10 years, the exemption, you could go ahead and extend the exemption for another 10 years from the property taxes. I think that's what I understood you said.
You're correct.
Okay. So the tax roll never will be fulfilled, you know, even for the capital improvements. So unlike the ITEP program, that they give a 10-year exemption and then you roll into the process of paying your local property taxes. And that's one of the concerns I have.
Yes, sir.
You know. Thank you.
Members of the committee, if I may, there's a bigger issue if we're going to talk about the solar farm project, because it is one to note. But let me say, in our operating history, the Catawba Parish Port Commission has been involved in numerous projects off-site of the port complex. Facilities like companies that you may know, Coca-Cola, Tire Rack, Northwest Pipe, all of these off of the port site where they all created jobs. The solar farm is not new. It's not unique. It is something that we were approached with as the Port Commission. And yes, it is not a large job creator, but the bigger issue here is not the employment that was created during the construction nor during the operation. For those of you who saw this past weekend and twice in the past month, plus, we've had brownouts in Caddo and Bossier parishes. The Southwest Power Pool notified our power provider that you had to turn off over 150 megawatts of power. 200 megawatts runs the city of Shreveport, generally speaking, without all the industry. And part of the FERC's demand to SPP was to maintain a balanced system. We had to shed over 140 plus megawatts off the load. If we're going to talk about this solar farm project, respectfully, it has very little to do with the employment created during construction or on an ongoing process, but more so about the megawatt load used to balance what before these rolling brownouts was borderline unstable. Now, with the number of data centers and AI centers, I think it's indicative of what we're going to be seeing more and more. We're in a quest for power.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's a good one right there, that you are in a quest for power. So I bet you they're going to try to get their tentacles into the small home nuclear reactors that Bass is pushing.
Oh, you damn right they are. It's probably why that water line flowing from the port to there was so that they can supply the water, not Bossier City, but the water from the port to the nuclear power thing that's going to be on the base.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. And Bossier City just gave away the whole enchilada.
I'm still disappointed.
Tried
I don't
to
want this
warn you
nuclear.
guys.
I don't want the nukes out at the base.
But-
I want small home nuclear reactors so I can have one in my DeLorean.
But wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. Can y'all answer me this riddle? Before the port and these solar plants or solar farms that the port put in, how many rolling blackouts and power issues did we have before then?
Look,
Can y'all tell me when we had rolling blackouts in this area?
I've lived in Bossier off and on for 20, 25 years. I'm not from Bossier. But I can honestly say we've had more power outages and I'm just saying this anecdotally, but we've had more power outages in the last few years than I can remember in the last 15 to 20, without a doubt.
I don't remember them. I'm not saying they didn't happen, but I don't remember them. I invited the SWEPCO people to come on the show one time, and they were like, nah, they ain't going to have none of it. But I don't remember any power outages, rolling blackouts in our area before the port, before these solar farms. I don't remember any of that crap. Maybe somebody does remember it, but I don't remember any of that.
Look, we got to give Eric credit here. He's doing his job for that $400,000 a year or whatever it is he makes. Never let a good crisis go to waste. So he knew that the blackouts, rolling blackouts, I wouldn't call them brownouts, blackouts from SWEPCO and the SPP were front of mind for everybody. So what does he do? He pulls at those heartstrings. The guy is a master at it. Look, I hate to say it. I don't think that the port is really a good entity at all, but the dude is on point with his job.
But here's the thing. He said earlier in this testimony here that they've got maybe 3 or 4 more solar farms that they're planning on putting in here. Guys, where are they going to put them? Are they going to come up here into your neighborhood or the next person's neighborhood? Is that where they're going to stick them? I mean, I'm not opposed to somebody that owns a bunch of land, if they want to put a solar farm or whatever, but just know that I want to know that everything is, if a big hailstorm comes in, knocks it all out, is it going to be cleaned up? Or are we the taxpayers going to be left with cleaning it all up? But, oh, wait a minute, our elected officials, they don't want to know anything about it. They don't want to know. They don't want to know that Eric England has done the due diligence to ensure that we are protected because the only damn thing he's interested in protecting is his 6-figure salary.
Wait a minute. You're wrong, Duke. He is literally surrounded by insurance guys. He's got David Montgomery, he's got Adam Bass, and he's got Dennis Bamberg. They're literally all insurance people. I'm sure they're going to have those solar panels insured to the hilt.
Well, look, I don't know that we can marry Adam Bass and Dennis Bamberg to that giddy up yet, but look, I know that all of our legislators, even the ones over in Caddo, some that are lawyers, when there's a camera down there with the port, they're all there. You don't have to be just from Bossier. They're all there. But my point isn't just with legislators, it's all of our elected officials. It's like they're all against accountability. And even
Sure
some of
they
the
are.
ones that we think are pro accountability, I'm telling you, a lot of folks better be prepared because a lot of these people are going to fail. They're going to fall for some of these traps. They're going to they already somewhat have already. If that water line going to the port from Bossier turns around and goes backwards supplying the power plant, I mean, oh my gosh.
We're going to go back and play that clip over and over and over.
But do you know what they in Bossier City, what the mayor and the councilman that push that, you know what they can do to stop it?
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely zero.
You have no
Absolutely
rights.
zero.
None. You signed them all
No.
away.
Wow. All right. Let's listen to the 221 mark, and then we'll I guess we'll kind of start wrapping it up.
I do appreciate that. I really appreciate the questions you ask, and I appreciate you got some really interesting questions. I'm glad you got Mr. England on the record. And it's my understanding, when you testify here, you're like signing an oath. What you said is correct. And I
think we get legal.
To the best of your ability, it's correct.
Yeah, I think it is sworn testimony. I don't know what's the legal standings, but
yeah, I agree.
Representative Phelps has a question for you.
Okay.
So, Mr. McCormick, Representative McCormick, I think you mentioned we've been dealing with this for a couple of years. Just because I think you brought it last year.
That's one
before.
thing I'd like to make clear. The legislation that allowed them come to North Caddo Parish and do this was in 21 or 22. So his misstatement was 30 years we've been doing this. That's not correct. It's only been a few years.
I don't think he meant this particular.
Yeah, I mean, and we showed it. It was, 21 or 22 or 23. I mean, Cedric Glover called it out when they were making the change. We pointed it out on the show. We showed the video clips when they made the change. But these ports, and this is statewide, all of these ports, them being able to do these programs within the confines of the port facility, that has been in place for probably 30 years. But they got that legislation passed to where they could do those things within the port boundaries and not have to have the approval or disapproval of any of the governing authorities. But then what they did is they came back, they put legislation through and changed, redefining their sphere of influence to incorporate all of Bossier Parish, all of Caddo Parish, with the same rules that had them being able to not have any oversight. Sneaky as hell.
Yeah. They did it in plain sight. Really?
Yeah, but all your elected officials don't care. Don't care.
They don't.
And if I'm lumping one of y'all that does care, besides Danny McCormick, into it, by all means, message me and tell me I'm wrong. And I will point out on the next show that you told me I'm wrong, that you aren't on this gravy train. You're not on government picking the winners and losers, because if you don't, you basically just said, you know what, I don't want to know. You tell me after the fact. And
all right,
if any of you want to come explain it, by all means, come explain it. You're welcome.
Yeah. So One last thing that I just want to touch on. This information was sent to us this afternoon, and we'll kind of start wrapping up. So I've got to do full disclosure. I've got to do a little more digging into this and see what's up with this. But this is HB 444. It creates an injection tax for carbon dioxide sequestration and dedicates the tax revenue to the parishes within the storage facilities area of review. Proposed law requires that the carbon dioxide storage operators pay an injection tax of $3 per metric ton of carbon dioxide injected into a Class 6 well. It also requires the operator to pay the tax electronically to the Louisiana Department of Revenue each month, and the operator has to submit a report to both the LDR and the Department of Energy and Natural Resources each month that details the total amount of carbon dioxide injected into each well. So, I mean, look, I think both of us are pretty much anti-tax guys, and I don't think either one of us have any love lost whatsoever for this carbon injection, sequestration, I don't know, whatever business that's going on here. But folks, what do y'all think about taxing the carbon dioxide storage operators? Should they be taxed? Are they going to be taxed? Would you support this bill? Because interestingly, I don't think our Senator Seabass and Representative Bamberg support this. I mean,
Well, I mean, look, they're getting, as I appreciate it, $75 per ton of our taxpayer dollars. I mean, can't we get some of that back?
I'm just asking. So
I
I'm
mean,
going to do
I
an
don't know. It seems
analysis.
reasonable to me.
Yeah, I'm going to do a bigger analysis of this bill, and look, maybe Bamberg or Bass can reach out to us and tell us their stance or whatever. Or it's a House bill right now. I don't know what process it's in as far as the Senate goes. So maybe Bass hadn't even seen it, but maybe we'll see why Bamberg's against it, or if he is, or he can give us his opinion on it. I don't know. I mean,
Yep.
it just seems to me like this whole carbon sequestration thing is on the crazy train as well. The crazy
Yeah, no
money
doubt.
train.
No doubt about it. Well, John Glover, glad to see you're here. Paul Johnson, Val Baker, Jeff Sadow, to name a few, Barry Butler, Mr. Haygood, Laura Embry Rexford. Hello and welcome. And my bride, look at there. She's there too. Appreciate
hanging
all of
in
y'all
with us.
watching tonight. And hopefully this has been, I mean, it's some boring, wonky stuff, but it's critically important information that you need to know because it applies to all your elected officials and some of the decisions or the lack of decisions that are being made on your behalf. I mean, there's decisions being made by people who are unelected bureaucrats. It's the same crap that's happened in Washington, D.C., except it's happening on a smaller scale at the local level. And the people that you do pull the levers for and you do elect, a lot of them are sticking their head in the sand and not, in my opinion, looking out for you the way that they should. Maybe I'm wrong. I could very possibly be wrong on my take on it, but by my viewpoint, they're not doing what you pulled the lever for them to do.
And our goal since day one is literally in the tagline of our logo up there. It's keeping an eye out, all things politically speaking, that are important in Bossier and the surrounding areas, and sometimes in Caddo or even across the state in Louisiana. That's literally why we're doing the show, is to keep an eye out on those things and relay that information to you. Newsflash, we're not a news agency. We're very biased, and it is an opinionated show. So if you're here for straight up news or to see the beautiful flower gardens or whatever, this is not the show for you. But we appreciate each and every one of you the amount of shares for our content has been through the roof. I've posted some of that. That school board email, 40,000 views for a screenshot of an email. That's insane. That's all organic. I didn't boost any of that. So we appreciate all of you, all the comments, whether you agree or disagree with us. And want to thank the folks here tonight for hanging out for, 2 hours and 39 minutes so far.
Wow. Yep. Well, anyway, that is all I have for tonight. I'm done.
You can go back to mean tweets now, Mr. Lowry.
I'm back at it. I got to go check my crypto. XRP, baby. Say no to Bitcoin.
Oh, no, don't say no to Bitcoin. I need the Bitcoin to keep going up. All right. Well, look, I appreciate you,
Golly,
Mr. Lowry.
how high does it have to get? If you ain't made it now on Bitcoin, you ain't never going to make it.
But I just don't have that much in it because I was stupid. I knew about it from the beginning. That's a whole other story. I should have been able to retire and not have to worry about Bossier Watch at all. Just be on a beach somewhere drinking little Mai Tai things or whatever. I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be bass fishing. But that's a whole other conversation about me and crypto. So anyway,
I told you about XRP when we put it on the video here. So when it happens, I mean, you're going to know.
Right. And let me give
there's only one other thing you can do. You could go get you some dongs or some dinars. You could go do that, and that might save you. I don't know.
All right. So let me save us both right now with a little disclaimer. Again, this is an opinionated show. It is an opinion show. So our mention of anything crypto or financial is also our opinions. We're not recommending anything. Okay, there.
No. Gosh, no. Don't listen to me.
All right, Mr. Lowry. 258 shows and counting. Thank you again. It's been fun.
Good night.